Hey, you guys. I hope and pray you're having a blessed day in the Lord. And welcome to the Bible Study Studio. My name is Sonia McCullough Lockridge, and I'm the host, and I joy to come to you in this fashion. Now, today we are reading the final portion of Revelation 8. The final portion of Revelation 8, and we're reading it in, of course, four translations. Revelation 8. And we do have some questions on the table today. Let me flip back in my trusty notes. Our questions for this week were, when was the silence in heaven for a half an hour? When was there silence in heaven for one half an hour? When was there silence in heaven for in half hour? Number one question for this week. Number two, why was much incense given to the additional angel? Why was much incense given to the additional angel? Number three, what did the angel do with the incense? What did the angel do with the incense? Number four, what 10 things were adversely affected after the first angel sounded the trumpet? What 10 things were adversely affected after the first angel sounded the trumpet? Number five, what did John look and hear from mid-heaven? What did John look and hear from mid-heaven? What did John look and hear from mid-heaven? Once again, our keywords are 7, angel, altar, prayers, incense, trumpet, burn/burning, third, which that keyword is used 12 times in this text, and woe. What 10 things were adversely affected after the first angel sounded the trumpet? What 10 things? So let's just start our reading with the NIV translation of the text, Revelation 8. Revelation chapter 8 through the end of the chapter. There's 13 verses in Revelation 8, and we're going to begin our reading where we left off the last time in verse 11. The name of the star is wormwood. A third of the waters turned bitter, and many people died from the waters that had become bitter. The fourth angel sounded his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of them turned dark. A third of the day was without light, and also a third of the night. As I watched, says John, I heard an eagle that was flying in midair call out in a loud voice, "Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of earth, because of the trumpet blast about to be sounded by the other three angels." Now, we may or we may not need to add wormwood to our list of keywords. So let's read on in the other translations. That was the NIV, which is a thought for thought translation. Now we are reading in the NASB, which is a word for word translation. 11 through the end of the chapter. Verse 11 through the end. The star is named wormwood, and a third of the waters became, let me start over. The star is named wormwood, and a third of the waters became wormwood, and many people died from the waters because they were made bitter. So wormwood is bitter water. The fourth angel sounded, and a third of the sun a third of the moon, and a third of the stars were struck, so that a third of them would be darkened, and the day would not shine for a third of it, and the night in the same way. Then I looked, and I heard an eagle flying in mid-heaven, saying with a loud voice, "Woe, woe, woe to those who live on the earth because of the remaining blast of the trumpet of the three angels who are about to sound." Okay? NASB, word for word translation. The Christian Standard Bible, and this is a thought for thought translation, chapter 8, verses 11 through 13. The name of the star is wormwood, and a third of the waters became wormwood. So many of the people died from the waters because they had been made bitter. The fourth angel blew his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of them were darkened. A third of the day was without light, and also a third of the night. I looked and heard an eagle flying high overhead, crying out in a loud voice, "Woe, woe, woe to those who live on the earth because of the remaining trumpet blast." And the three angels are about to sound. Christian Standard Bible, verses 11 through 13, a thought for thought translation. Finally, the ESV version of the text, which is a word for word translation, chapter 8, verses 11 through 13. 11 through 13. The name of the star is wormwood. A third of the waters became wormwood, and many people died from the water because it had been made bitter. The fourth angel blew his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of their light might be darkened, and a third of the day might be kept from shining, and likewise a third of the night. Then I looked, and I heard an eagle with a loud voice as it flew directly overhead. This doesn't say midair. This says as it flew directly overhead. "Woe, woe, woe to those who dwell on the earth at the blast of the other trumpets that the three angels are about to blow." So 4 of the angels have blew the trumpet, and there's 3 more angels to blow. Now, the question, what 10 things were adversely affected after the first angel sounded the trumpet? Earth, trees, green grass, mountains, sea, creatures, stars, river, water, and ships. Okay. And then in the last part of the passage, we see all of those other things that are adversely affected, which are the thirds, the light, the night, and so on and so forth. A third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, a third of the stars, sun, moon, stars, so that a third of their light, the light from them, would be darkened, and a third of the day be kept from shining, and a third of the night. Almost everything was affected after the blowing of all 4 trumpets, and we have 3 trumpets to go. 3 trumpets to go. But, the name of my Bible study is Only Jesus Makes All Things New, because there is much trouble, but I like to read the end of the story before I read the other parts of the story. So, the name of my Bible study indicates the spoiler. This is a spoiler alert study, and I've named it as such because we need to know. We need to know that in the end, Jesus wins. In the end, Jesus wins. That's why I've titled this study, Only Jesus Makes All Things New. But because we know in the end of the story, that's what Jesus does, is he makes all things new. And that verse is found in Revelation 21:5. And he who sits on the throne said, Behold, I am making all things new. And he said, Write, for these words are faithful and true. Only Jesus makes all things new. And that's what he does at the end of the book and at the end of the story. The one and only Jesus makes all things new through his absolute appointed authority of hope. That is who he is. The absolute appointed authority of hope. This is Sonia McCullough Walker signing out. I hope and pray you have a blessed day in the Lord. And please remember, one day, only Jesus will make all things new. Thank you.